Well, my friends, welcome back to Spot On with Link Lauren. We have to talk about the biggest cover-up in American political history, and that is the cover-up of Joe Biden's mental and physical health. So last night, the Biden PR machine came out and said Joe Biden has aggressive prostate cancer that has metastasized to his bones. Now, I send my condolences to Joe Biden and the entire family. But the timing of this, I'm going to say something we're not supposed to say out loud. The timing of this announcement is very fishy. It's about as fishy as a fish tank. It's fishy as the South Street Seaport. It's about as fishy as a Hong Kong seafood market. Okay, the timing is just off to me. There are many doctors online who also say the timing is weird. He would not have just found out that he has this aggressive form of prostate cancer. He likely would have known for the last few years. In fact, he probably knew when he was president of the United States. And what were they going to do? Were they going to ram and jam him through like they did in 2020 with the basement campaign, and he was going to dip out and leave us with drunk Kamala Harris? Is that what the Democrats were going to do? This is why I don't trust the Democrat Party. They are a bunch of feckless cowards who want to destroy the fabric of our nation and lie to us and gaslight us time and time again. I also think the timing of this is very suspicious for another reason. 24 hours ago, the audio came out of the Hur tape. Now, that's the audio we're going to get into later in the show, showing that Biden was in serious cognitive decline. Okay, he didn't know what year it was. He didn't know what year his son passed away. He didn't know when he left office. He thought he left the Senate. We're going to get into all of that. They also make this announcement about the cancer 24 hours before Jake Tapper's book comes out, detailing that Joe Biden was in serious decline with 200 anonymous sources. So I'm just saying this is a little bit fishy. And people are online saying, you shouldn't play politics with this. You guys shouldn't be politicizing this. The Bidens themselves, I'm here to tell you, the Biden PR mafia machine, they are politicizing this by dropping it when they did. He didn't bring this up on The View last week. In fact, Joe Biden was on The View basically saying he thought he could have beaten Trump. He thought, you know what? I had one bad night at the debate. I could have beaten Trump. This guy, if he really has aggressive prostate cancer, which is terrible, I wish him well. He should go away and be with his family. If he's in cognitive decline, if his health is not good, listen very closely, Jill, Hunter, and Joe. Go away. Go be with your family. But the Bidens are so thirsty for fame and fortune, they can't stop going out there on television. The Bidens, to me, they are thirsty, fame-hungry, white trash people. That is who the Bidens are. They have cocaine at the White House, topless people on the White House lawn. They have a granddaughter in Arkansas they've never even met, and they tried to erase her from American history. So I apologize if I'm having a hard time finding a bunch of sympathy for Joe Biden. This was nothing more than a sympathy play. They released this news to try and stop and cease the conversation about his cognitive decline. And we're not supposed to say that, but that is exactly what they wanted to do. And I'm not a fan of Jake Tapper. I've railed on Jake Tapper the last few weeks. But the fact of the matter is, they did this to get ahead of the book detailing his cognitive decline. Another few reasons I'm having a hard time mustering sympathy for Joe Biden, and you guys know I'm honest with you. I call it like I see it. I have cancer in my family. There are people in my life who've been greatly impacted by cancer. I'm sure some of you watching this might have cancer. You're taking care of a relative, a family member, a friend who has cancer. Cancer is a bitch. It is an evil, dark monster that rears its head. But I'm having a hard time just mustering sympathy for Joe Biden because this is a man who checked his watch as soldiers were coming home in caskets after the Afghanistan withdrawal. This is a man who called half the country garbage. This is a man who tried to erase his own granddaughter, Navy Roberts, from American history. This is a man who opened the border and allowed illegal migrant criminals to come in who raped, maimed, and murdered young women like Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungari. Joe Biden has blood on his hands, and he could not even pronounce Laken Riley's name properly at the State of the Union. So I apologize, you guys, if I'm having a hard time mustering a bunch of sympathy for Joe Biden, but that is exactly what the Bidens want us to do. They want us to stop talking about the cognitive decline. Let's stop talking about who was controlling the auto pin, who were these unelected bureaucrats the last 4 years calling the shots in Washington, D.C. I still want investigations. I am sorry he is sick. I am so sorry Joe Biden is sick. The same way I'm sorry people in my life are sick, people in your life are sick. But this announcement, oddly sandwiched between the Hur audio and Biden and Tapper's book, this does not absolve him of his alleged crimes. Did he know when he was pardoning Hunter that he was signing it? Did he affix his own signature to the documents? I'm allowed to have all these questions. Two truths can exist at once. Biden can unfortunately have aggressive prostate cancer. That is terrible. But we can also have questions about what the hell went on the last 4 years. And there are doctors. There are doctors from Biden's own party, very liberal doctors who are questioning the timing of this and the diagnosis. We have a statement from Dr. Stephen Quay. I'm going to read it to you right now. This is all breaking. This is breaking news. We're going to put it up on the screen. So Dr. Stephen Quay says this: prostate cancer is the easiest cancer to diagnose when it first starts and to watch it progress to bone metastasis. The PSA blood test shows the rate of cancer cell growth. For even with the most aggressive form, it is a 5 to 7 year journey without treatment before it becomes metastatic, meaning it would be malpractice for this patient to show up and be first diagnosed with metastatic disease in May 2025. It is highly likely he was carrying a diagnosis of prostate cancer throughout the White House tenure, and the American people were uninformed. So these are doctors. Some of them have freaking rainbow flags in their bios on X, okay? These are liberal doctors saying something is not adding up. On MSNBC, now on CNN, all of these liberal networks, they're also saying this is just dicey. It's weird to us. We're sorry he's sick, but the Bidens are playing PR. And for people saying we're politicizing it, the Biden PR machine is pretty damn good. I mean, they kept him insulated the last 4 years. They were mafia-esque. If you even tried to report on his decline, you would lose access. You would get calls from the White House threatening you. And Biden's been around in D.C. for 5 decades, 50 years, twice as long as I've been alive. Biden has been playing politics, and Jill has been there in lockstep with him. So for people to say, oh, he just happened to find out, he released it, la-di-da-di-da, I'm allowed to question it, as many of you have questioned it. Thousands of people have messaged me since last night on Instagram, on X, on TikTok, on YouTube, saying something isn't adding up. We also have a clip of another doctor discussing this. Let's roll the clip and then talk afterward.
In my expertise as a urologist, prostate cancer like this doesn't come on just overnight. This happens over a long period of time. And typically, you would see a PSA elevation, you would do a biopsy, and then you would do a treatment for the prostate cancer. Then after the prostate cancer is treated, it can actually get worse and spread to different parts of the body. And so it's very unlikely that someone could get annual checkups and not notice a PSA elevation over the past, But this is what I typically would see in a VA hospital, where a patient hasn't had medical attention in 10 years, presents to an emergency room with bone pain, and then they find that it's metastatic prostate cancer. But in the modern age of medicine, especially the fact that he was a former president, he had intensive state-of-the-art, care where we can see prostate cancer, 10 years in the past.
How could they have missed this? I wish I had as good of healthcare as Joe Biden. I'm sure all of you wish you had as good of healthcare as Joe Biden. When I want to go see a doctor, I have to get approved. I have to call this person, try and barter and sell my kidney just to get on the waiting list. There is no one more monitored than Joe Biden for his health. So the fact that they're coming out and saying they just found out a few days ago that he has this aggressive form of prostate cancer in his 80s, I'm just not buying it. And isn't Jill supposed to be a doctor? Dr. Jill, I know she's not a medical doctor, but this is an utter calamity, okay? You all, in my opinion, you knew the guy was sick. You were going to ram and jam him through. Thank God. Thank God we had the June 27th, 2024 debate on CNN, ironically, with Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, however the hell she pronounces her name. It changes day to day. Thank God we had that debate. Otherwise, Joe Biden would have been kept in the basement. We would have never seen clear as day with our own eyes just how bad it was. They could only gaslight us for so long. Okay, and Joe Biden back in 2022 was caught on camera saying he had cancer. Now, they said this was a gaffe, it was a mistake, but I think Joe Biden, because he wasn't at the White House, he was out in the field, he was speaking willy-nilly, I think he let it rip. Take a clip and you guys decide for yourselves.
The first frost, you know what was happening. You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer, and why can't for the longest time Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
So there Joe Biden is back in 2022 saying he has cancer. Now, could that have been a mistake? Sure. Could have been a gaffe. Was it a Freudian slip? Maybe. His own brother, Frank Biden, when Biden dropped out of the race, stepped aside, he even said a statement like, I hope we can spend as much time as possible, however much time my brother has left. That was really weird wording, right? That's not something you would say if your brother wasn't terminally ill. But what the Bidens want in the Biden PR machine, it was for the media to stop talking. They don't want you to share this video of us discussing this. They want us to say, this is a sweet, elderly man. He is sick. He is frail, and we shouldn't talk about what happened in the last 4 years. None of that negates the fact they opened the borders deliberately, and they have blood on their hands for Laken Riley and Jocelyn Ungari. None of that negates the fact they had a horrific, disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. None of that negates the fact we had sky-high inflation. So I am sorry Joe Biden is sick, but it doesn't absolve you of all of your sins, and it's going to make me look like a bad guy. I'm going to look like a jerk and an asshole for sitting here and saying these things, but it's my job to say what we are all thinking, okay? There's a reason you guys tune into me, and there's a reason I'm not on MSNBC or CNN, because I have to call balls and strikes like I see it, and there are many of you who have messaged me saying, we feel the way you do. We can't say it. I had Democratic operatives writing me on X after I put my statement out last night saying, thank you for saying this. We all agree. Now, I want to play you a clip from Harry Sisson, who is a Democratic influencer. I've been on shows with him. You guys might recognize him. He's very cringe. He stumps and stumps and stumps for Joe Biden. He is out there carrying water. Listen to what he has to say.
So President Biden was just diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer. It's also metastasized into his bones, which is incredibly concerning and incredibly heartbreaking. So I wanted to take this opportunity to say shame on anyone, and I mean anyone, who continues to beat up on Joe Biden. This man is no longer an elected official. He has dedicated his life to public service, whether you agree with him or not, and he is a father, a grandfather, and a man with cancer who wants to live out the rest of his life with his family. But right now, we have conservatives and people in the media profiting off of, writing books about, commentating on this man's health. And to anybody doing that, shame on you.
The Democrat talking points are already out there. Within 5 minutes of this announcement that Joe Biden had aggressive cancer, the Democrat influencers were saying, shut it down. Don't talk about the decline. Don't talk about his health. Everybody, this is a sweet man. He's lived a life of service. I haven't benefited from Joe Biden's life of service. Have you? Have you? Has anybody benefited from Joe Biden's life of service? Because the last 4 years were an utter calamity, okay? So I'm sorry he was in public life for 50 years and has nothing to show for it. And this narrative that Joe Biden is the sweet, nice grandpa. No. Joe Biden is a wannabe thug from Scranton, Pennsylvania, okay? He runs DC like the mafia. They call and threaten journalists. They push journalists out. They cut their access if they even question his cognitive decline. That is what the Bidens do, okay? They are in the business of enriching themselves to the tune of millions and millions of dollars because of the big guy. Allegedly. We'll say allegedly, but that is who the Bidens are. If Jill Biden really loved her husband, if you really loved your husband, you would have told him to step aside a long time ago. I don't know any woman with an ounce of self-respect who would let her boyfriend, her husband, her significant other go out there on stage and humiliate himself like he did in that June 27th debate. So Jill, I question her as a woman. Like I said, she and Hunter and Joe are all power hungry, and I've got a little white trash in me and you. All of us have a little white trash, but these are pretty white. These are pretty white trash people. Like, if Joe Biden is so sick and so ill, they can't just let him go out with some dignity. They're still trotting him out on TV to try and save face and make some money. We've got to move on to the Hur audio, which ironically dropped 24 hours before Joe Biden told us he had aggressive cancer. Let's take a look at some of the Hur audio and then discuss.
What was happening, though, 1 month ago died, May 30th, 2015. Was it 2015 he died?
Maybe 2015.
I think it's 2015.
I'm not sure the months are, but I think that was
That's right, Mr. President.
And what's happened in the meantime is that Trump gets elected in November of 2017? 2016. All right. So, 2017 here.
That's when you left office, January of 2017.
Okay. But that's when Trump gets sworn in then,
Right.
January.
Right. Correct.
Okay, yeah. Correct. And in 2017, Bo had passed, and this is personal.
This man was allegedly in charge of the nuclear codes. Now, we all know this conspiracy of silence, his circle of advisors, these swamp creatures were probably calling the shots because there was very credible reporting. He was basically asleep. He worked between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. if you were lucky. But the fact that he really doesn't know what year it is, he doesn't know what year the election happened, and he's been in public life for 50 years. The election happens every 4 years, 2016, 2020, 2024. It's been that way since the dawn of time, Joe Biden. So the fact that he doesn't know what year it is, and he's supposed to be sitting behind the Resolute desk, calling the shots, the leader of the free world, and we're not supposed to talk about any of this. Harry Sisson and the Democrat influencers say we're jerks for even bringing all of this up. No. To use Biden's own word, that is a bunch of malarkey. We have another clip. Let's listen to that one.
Where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
Well, I don't know. This is what, 2017, 18, that area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying. And so it was, and by the way, there were still a lot of people at the time when I got out of the Senate that were encouraging me to run in this period, except the president.
Shame on Jill Biden, Hunter Biden, Ashley Biden, the entire family. You knew this man wasn't well, okay? If this audio hadn't come out, we would have just had the transcripts. But even from the transcripts that came out last year, we knew something wasn't okay. Something was rotten in Denmark. Something was awry with Joe Biden. But Jill, she continued to push and push and push because she didn't want to go back to the private sector. Jill doesn't want to go be a normal citizen like the rest of us. She doesn't want to have to go buy her own groceries, fill up her own car. In fact, she might still not have to do any of that. But Jill, she wanted to retain power. She didn't care if her husband was sick with cancer and dying, if it had metastasized. She didn't care if he knew what date it was. That is who the Bidens are. They are hungry for fame, fortune, and power. Now, we have one last clip of Jill Biden, which shows you exactly how much she was in control. Let's take a look.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the... And let me ask the crowd, what did Trump do? Why? Yes.
This is ostensibly who was in charge the last 4 years, Joe Biden. We saw her running cabinet meetings, sitting behind the president's desk on Air Force One. Here she is grabbing the microphone after that horrific debate that we all saw, and she's still trying to jam him through. You did so good, Joe. You answered all the questions. That's where the bar is? He's been in public life for 5 decades, and all he has to do is answer all the questions? Hello, I think you and I could be president. So Jill, you're disgusting. Hunter, you're disgusting. If you love this man, if you love Joe and he was really sick, you would go take him to be in private. You wouldn't be putting him on The View. You wouldn't be putting him on national TV. You wouldn't have tried to run him. But to circle back the overarching theme, the Bidens are gross and they are thirsty and hungry for fame, fortune, and power. And I'm sure I'm going to get eviscerated for saying that out loud. But I love you all, and I cannot come on here and be inauthentic because some of you have watched me for years. I've brought up some of these points the last 3 or 4 years online. I can't come on here and be fake. Now, we've got to pay some bills, but we will be back after the break with one of my good friends to discuss some more fun, lighthearted, hot topics. Well, then again, Hillary's returned. We'll see you in a minute. We've all had days when skin feels dull, hydration doesn't stick, and energy is all over the place. No amount of water, skincare, or coffee seems to help. That's when Peak's Radiant Skin Duo came to the rescue, and it's been a game changer ever since. This doctor-recommended duo, trusted by experts like Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Jason Fung, and Dr. Will Cole, supports whole body wellness from the inside out. With over 15,000 five-star reviews, it's clear this duo delivers results. Here's why it works. Sun Goddess Matcha provides steady, calm energy throughout the day. No jitters. Packed with L-theanine for focus and EGCG antioxidants. It supports skin clarity and gut health because great skin starts from within. BT Fountain electrolytes hydrate like nothing else. Even with plenty of water, many still feel dehydrated. The difference? Clinically proven ceramides lock moisture into the skin at a cellular level, leaving it plump, fresh, and glowing. Purity matters. Peak's quadruple toxin screening ensures all ingredients are free from heavy metals, pesticides, and mold. Just clean, science-backed hydration and energy. Say goodbye to fatigue, dry skin, and energy crashes. Ready for healthier hydration. Get 20% off plus a free frother and glass speaker here. peaklife.com/link. Again, that's peaklife.com/link. Well, we are back with my good friend Caroline Downey. She is a multimedia reporter at National Review. She is the editor-in-chief of The Conservateur, a digital fashion and lifestyle magazine for women. Unlike Meghan Markle, she is really a female founder. We have a real female founder in our presence today. Aren't we lucky? She often appears on Fox News. You've probably seen her on TV. We have a clip. Take a look of Caroline in action.
The Democrats' problem is that they view coalition building as heresy. When a party loses independents, swing voters, and the working class, their instinct should be to try to win back those voters, not to purge the moderates from the primaries, as David Hogg recommends, not to burn the middle to save the far left flank, and not to pitch revolutionary socialism as AOC and Bernie Sanders fly around the country on private jets, decrying oligarchy, while they themselves become parodies of their own populism. And instead of taking pitchforks to the old guard of the Democratic Party, these people should really have a reality check. Are Eat the Rich and men and women's sports on the social issue side, are those hills that they really want to die on? Do they think they have national appeal? Spoiler alert, they do not.
Caroline, how are you doing today? Thanks for joining us.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, I don't want to waste any time. We have a bunch of hot topics to get to. Hillary Clinton went viral over the weekend for something she said about conservative women. Let's take a look and then discuss.
What advice do you have for the first female president of the United States?
Well, first of all, don't be a handmaiden to the patriarchy, which kind of eliminates every woman on the other side of the aisle, except for very few. Lisa Murkowski.
Liz Cheney.
Yeah, there's a few. Look, first we have to get there, and it is obviously so much harder than it should be. If a woman runs who I think would be a good president, as I thought Kamala Harris would be, and as I knew I would be, I will support that woman.
Now, Caroline, this is very reminiscent of the basket of deplorables comment from 2015. Obviously, Hillary Clinton likes to make these sweeping judgments of half the country because, in my opinion, these are my words, she's also a disgusting woman. Caroline, what do you make of that clip?
Well, Democrats, including Democratic women like Hillary Clinton, never seem to learn that disparaging and lecturing voters is not a good strategy. It's not going to work. It didn't work on the campaign trail this time around with Tim Walz pandering to young men with silly stereotypes. It didn't work with The View reprimanding Republican women for being betrayers of their sex. Isn't this the pot calling the kettle black? Because if Hillary Clinton is going to stand there and say, y'all are handmaidens to the patriarchy, isn't she their ringleader? She has remained married, let's be real, to a man who is a serial adulterer because she likes the proximity to power. She also covered for the fact that her husband was a major associate of serial sexual predator and financier Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, the reports are that Bill Clinton traveled at least a dozen times on the Lolita Express, where we know Epstein courted and abused young girls, and Hillary Clinton never made a peep about that. So the hypocrisy is truly dripping, and there's more where that came from. According to some reports, Victor Davis Hanson wrote about this at National Review in 2015. While she was a senator, Hillary Clinton apparently paid her female staffers less than her male staffers for the exact same job. I mean, come on, enough with this fake feminism. Ma'am, you don't honor any of it.
No, absolutely. And then also the Clinton Foundation has taken money from countries where women don't even have rights. And so Hillary's supposed to be this feminist icon. I think Hillary was jealous. She wasn't able to hook up with Monica Lewinsky. From the rumors I've heard, like I said, these are my words. Caroline is much too classy for our show. But no, Hillary Clinton is not this feminist icon. Even her whole campaign, the motto was, "I'm with her." Well, that just says, okay, you're with me, but how does that tell me how you're going to help my life? So Hillary Clinton, she's been full of BS for years. We have another clip from the same conference. Let's take a look and then discuss this one, Caroline. Try not to gag.
This very blatant effort to basically send a message, most exemplified by Vance and Musk and others, that, what we really need from you women are more children. And what that really means is you should go back to doing what you were born to do, which is to produce more children. So this is another performance about concerns they allegedly have for family life. Return to the family, the nuclear family, return to being a Christian nation, return to, producing a lot of children, which is sort of odd because the people who produce the most children in our country are immigrants, and they want to deport them. So none of this adds up. But, one of the reasons why our economy did so much better than comparable advanced economies across the world is because we actually had a replenishment, because we had a lot of immigrants, legally and undocumented, who had a, larger than normal, by American standards, family. So.
Now, Caroline, I have said for years, there's this war on the left against family values, against the nuclear family. I also have to say, for all the Democrats out there, for all the DNC operatives, your party is in decline. You're in shambles. You have no party ID. Maybe putting Hillary Clinton back out there isn't the best idea. Caroline, what do you make of this clip?
And again, Link, this comment from Hillary Clinton ignores the fact that she covered for Jeffrey Epstein's victims who were women. And I mean, that's, again, glaring hypocrisy. So she can't pretend to care for the welfare of women more broadly, given that what happened back then. And it was almost as though the message to those future women and future generations that, look,
we'll take a couple for the team so long as we can advance abortion rights. As long as these Democrats say the right things and they promote the right progressive policies, it's okay that behind the scenes, they're all deeply corrupt and are engaging in abuse of women themselves. And with regards to the Elon Musk strategy of repopulating the earth, obviously, it's different than what we've heard before in terms of rhetoric. But the fact remains, we are well below the replacement rate as a nation. It is absolutely something to consider that we should be trying to encourage family formation in this country, not baby making, which is what she tries to reduce Republicans to, but family formation. Family formation meaning that you have a unit that sticks together, that's the anchor of civil society, that is the foundation of Western civilization. You need that to continue the survival of your species. Like, this is very basic stuff, like not complicated at all. And she's trying to make us out to be, once again, the Handmaid's Tale for simply saying that, like, this is a prerequisite to, like, the humanity continuing.
Well, for the left, and we saw this in the last election, the left, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, they view women's rights as abortion, as Roe v. Wade. The Dobbs decision was the worst thing that ever happened to them. But when you look at the right, women's rights are about having an economy that works for women. A single mom who's got 2 kids at home and she's trying to put food on the table. Women's rights, women's security is having a secure border so folks like Abrego Garcia and MS-13 gang members aren't running amok through our towns, right? These are things that actually, in my opinion, help and uplift women. But for the left, women's rights begin and end with abortion. Now, we have to talk about, when we look at the women on the left, I don't think there's a surprise as to why young men are shifting to the right. You actually wrote an op-ed about how young men have gotten their mojo back. They're shifting to the right. They're much more unapologetic. Tell me why you think young men are shifting right.
Young men are very optimistic about the future, Link, and I think it's pretty self-evident that it's because partially of the rollback of DEI and gender ideology, which are institutional barriers to their success. That's a fact, right? If you have gender quotas, that means that some very competent white cis males might be overlooked for a job that they're qualified for. And I speak of this as a triplet with 2 brothers who are my age, so Gen Z guys that are in the workforce right now. And I've noticed their attitude over the last 4 years of Biden shift to serious pessimism about their prospects in America. Economic mobility, dating relations, it's all been degraded severely because of the left. And their reaction to that, I think they wanted to give the Democrats a chance to persuade them, but the demonization made it impossible. And so the right is the only one welcoming them with open arms and telling them, by the way, your fears and your concerns are valid, and we are going to legitimize your manhood, which is not toxic, by the way. It's actually not. It's a blessing. It's the cornerstone of a functioning society, your masculinity. And I think that's what we're seeing in the polling, is that young men are shifting right dramatically, and the Democrats continue to push them further and further away.
Well, absolutely. And then when you even look at the men on the left, they're all a bunch of beta males like Tim Walz, Mr. Jazz Hands. How are young men supposed to relate to folks like Tim Walz, Hakeem Jeffries, Cory Booker, Chuck Schumer? You look at the right, they have all these great guys to look up to, guys who are unapologetic. And then we had the Me Too movement in 2015. And then there was this sort of overcorrection to the Me Too movement. And I know a lot of guys who say, we're scared to even ask a girl out, right? If we say, hey, do you want to get a drink after work? Are we going to get canceled? Are we going to get HR called on us? And so people are scared. Lucky for me, I have this job. I don't work in a normal corporate office, but there are guys out there who are scared now. Like, if they even look at a girl the wrong way, are they going to get canceled? I mean, what do you think about this overcorrection we saw from the Me Too movement, Caroline?
Well, and don't forget, Link, that under the Obama administration, there were those Title IX witch hunts on college campuses that effectively killed due process for young men who were accused of sexual assault. So they were assumed to be guilty from the get-go without there actually being a process of justice to determine whether they had actually committed what was alleged. So that generated, I think, quite a lot of resentment in young men. And to your point about Me Too, that has translated in the dating world to skepticism from both sexes towards each other, and men being afraid to be chivalrous because it might be misconstrued the wrong way. This is the legacy of leftism. It's literally tearing down gender dynamics in real time in college campuses. And you and I are both Gen Z, Link. You know that authenticity is our currency. We want relatability more than anything. So when I think back to how Tim Walz, again, just pandered to young men with these belittling archetypes, it's him in camo gear, haphazardly loading a hunting rifle while he's LARPing as Larry the Cable Guy. How on earth do you think young men, which again, it assumes that they are idiotic. It assumes that that kind of costume dressing is enough to win their hearts and minds. It's like, it's truly bottom of the barrel type stuff. Trump, on the other hand, I believe was the archetype of an alpha male, whether you agree with that or not, that young men had been searching for. He basically told them, you do not need to apologize for who you are, number one. Number two, I'm going to make the conditions in this country conducive to your thriving and to your family's thriving. With the economy, by closing the border, you name it, that is more empowering to young men than any kind of costume or, dress up.
Absolutely. What's so funny to me about the left is they say they're going to support and uplift women more than the right, but the left can't even define what a woman is. So how are you going to protect women when you can't even define what a woman is? Now, we got to go to a commercial break. We got to pay some more bills. But while we go out, I just want to play this clip of Kid Rock for some comedic relief. Roll the clip, then we'll be back.
When you play your concerts, do you ever see anybody with blue hair, armpit hair, female armpit hair? Some of these people we're looking at, kid, I don't know.
Man, listen, I was just watching your clips, and we have this low birth rate in America, and it all made sense to me. It just hit me right now, because who's going to sleep with these ugly ass, broke, crazy, deranged, TDS liberal women? I mean, you look at these rallies, it's like a bunch of women that no guy wants to sleep with and a bunch of dudes that want to sleep with each other.
Let me tell you a story about a guy named Leo Grillo. While on a road trip, Leo came across a Doberman. This dog was severely underweight and clearly in trouble. Leo rescued that Doberman and named him Delta. Sadly, Delta was just one of many animals that needed help, which inspired Leo to start Delta Rescue, the largest no-kill, care-for-life animal sanctuary in the world. They've rescued thousands of dogs, cats, and horses from the wilderness, and they provide their animals with shelter, love, safety, and a home. This dedication and everlasting love to animals is Leo's mission and legacy. Delta Rescue relies solely on contributions from people like us. And if you want caring for these animals to be part of your legacy, speak with your estate planner, because there are tax-saving estate planning benefits too. You can grow your estate while letting your love for animals live well into the future. Check out the estate planning tab on their website to learn more and speak with an advisor. We call a dog man's best friend for a reason. You can help those who need it most. So please visit deltarescue.org today to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. So we are back with our final block of the show. It's time to discuss someone Caroline and I both love and look up to, someone who has been very unfairly maligned by the mainstream media, by the fashion literati, and that is First Lady Melania Trump. First Lady Melania Trump, later today in the Rose Garden, she is going to be signing the Take It Down Act. If you have no idea what it is, we have a clip explaining. Take a look.
It's heartbreaking to witness young teens, especially girls, grappling with the overwhelming challenges posed by malicious online content, like deepfakes. This toxic environment can be severely damaging. We must prioritize their well-being by equipping them with support and tools necessary to navigate this hostile digital landscape. Every young person deserves a safe online space to express themselves freely without the looming threat of exploitation or harm.
So, Caroline, for young people dating, the Take It Down Act is very important. It's not something many other first ladies would have thought of, but basically, if non-consensual imagery is posted of you online, you can call, you can report it, and in 48 hours, it's taken down. And there are girls who they think they're in love with a guy, they might send him pictures, and then he turns on her and posts it online. That is revenge porn. What do you make of the Take It Down Act? It seems like a success.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, first ladies, it's not uncommon for them to engage in initiatives in complement with their husband's work, obviously. Usually in the past with Democratic first ladies, it tends to be activism, not the kind that we would want in this country, but this is overdue. It truly is.
Right.
The AI generated pornography has certainly degraded, as I said earlier, dating relations greatly. I mean, you could even go further than that. I mean, pornography, especially the violent kind, has normalized a lot of really bad behaviors in men and women, and it's also diminished trust between young men and women. And I mean, especially if it's non-consensual, this is very dangerous out there for young adolescents, for young teens who are growing up in this world. And it's, I mean, tackling technology in the right way, I think, is important for this administration. And I mean, we're even seeing Pope Leo take on AI.
Yes.
So this is very much like the zeitgeist is, okay, we know that AI is here. We know it's real. We can use it to our advantage and harness it properly. But when it starts to become a threat, we need guardrails. We need regulations. And this one is they're uncontroversial. So I would like to see everyone jump on board with Melania's idea.
Well, something you just said reminded me of all these young girls the last 10 or 15 years who've grown up on social media, looking at the Kardashians, looking at all these celebrities who have a ton of filters. Their pictures are edited. Some of ours might be too, but theirs are really over edited. Their bodies are edited and enhanced. They've had surgeries that normal people don't have access to. And then young girls are looking at this on their phones saying, why doesn't my butt look like that? Why don't my boobs look like that? Why doesn't my waist look like that? It's because they are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I do think we need guardrails now on the internet. I could not be happier that the First Lady Melania Trump is taking this on. It's sort of an interesting initiative for her to take on, not something people expected, but I love it. Now, we have to talk to you because you're the editor-in-chief of The Conservateur. You all just threw a huge, fabulous party in DC. Hundreds of people showed up. I was there. I'll post a picture later. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw the entire party. Hundreds of young, smart, intelligent, conservative women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond showed up to this event just to celebrate being conservative and conservative values and being unapologetic. And then you had all the guys who showed up because they heard there were going to be a ton of young conservative women at this location, date, and time. So that was incredible. You are someone very involved in fashion. Why do you think Melania Trump has been overlooked by the fashion literati Anna Wintour and Vogue when they used to love her before her husband ran for office, Caroline?
It's very simple. She's associated with the wrong politics, which if you are, you're a leper to the fashion world. This is a very deep-seated problem. I actually know a fashion designer in New York City who leans conservative, and he's actually, like Melania, a first-generation immigrant who came to this country with very little money in his pocket and achieved the American dream the hard way. He actually, this designer I'm referring to, was discovered by Anna Wintour. But what he told me is that after, it wasn't because of his politics, but you know, he sort of realized that the industry was so left-wing dominated that, you know, it was almost like, well, the ideological conformity was necessary if you were going to succeed. And he was lucky enough to have Ivana as one of his major clients. Also, Ivanka, one of the first runway show Ivanka ever modeled in was this designer's show. His name is Zhang Toy. Everybody should follow him. He's incredible. But he really gave me insights into how this industry, including the editorial fashion houses like Vogue, like Glamour, like Elle, they are 100% in the tank for Democrats. And it's really shameful because once upon a time, these were household favorites. I grew up reading Teen Vogue, and I remember that it was very neutral. It was just dating and advice. And then at some point, it lurched leftward and started promoting the Democratic Socialists of America. And just to give you an indicator of how hijacked these magazines are, Melania, again, there's no one more qualified to be covered by Vogue. There's no one more qualified. She is a supermodel. She's gorgeous. I mean, like supermodel, she speaks 5 languages. She's an immigrant. She's diverse by the leftist framing, but because she is affiliated with the wrong side of the aisle, it's off the table. And it's sad. It's tribalism because it honestly, fashion should not be political. You should follow the market. And now we're in this time in the country where conservatism is on the rebound. It's making us a reascent in our culture. Right. And you'd think that they try to meet the moment by maybe reaching those women and those viewers.
Well, that's my thing. Even from a capitalistic standpoint, Anna Wintour, Vogue, you would think they would reach out to some conservatives. They would highlight some Republican women, some independents, some libertarians. But basically, they want to preach about feminism, DEI, and uplifting women. As long as you don't have an R next to your name, as long as you're not a Republican, they all love you. And and Melania Trump, who they all used to love, Anna Wintour would have put her on the cover. She's never had a cover as First Lady, and I really think it's a miscarriage of justice. I think it's terrible when she's a supermodel, like you said. She's an immigrant. She speaks multiple languages. She's an incredible mother. I feel that way about Usha Vance. She's the first Hindu second lady. She's Indian American. She's incredibly stylish. She is someone the Democrats and the left would have loved, but of course, they are overlooking her. Now, we have to talk about... another try not to gag moment. We have to talk about Dylan Mulvaney stealing Melania Trump's Versace dress, okay? Melania wears a dress. They say she's too risque. It's not becoming of a first lady. Dylan Mulvaney wears the exact same dress, and they're like, he's opening doors for women. He's a feminist icon. What do you make of this, Caroline? It's crazy.
Well, and didn't Versace actually have a formal collaboration with Dylan Mulvaney, to my knowledge? That I believe so. I saw that reporting. Imagine being so bold as Versace as to throw your entire brand on the line the way that Bud Light learned a very hard lesson about. Yes. It's truly tragic when I saw that, because it's basically a cry for help, not only from that designer, but again from Dylan Mulvaney. And the more I see him again try to be this caricature of whether first it was a little girl, okay, now it's evolved into a smoke show for fashion model. And again, it's going to change. Whatever the next iteration of Dylan Mulvaney's getup is going to be equally jarring. And look, as a consumer, as a frequent fashion consumer, yes, I don't want to see a male body model the dresses that I might be wearing. I want to see Melania wear the dresses I might be wearing, or another like woman of elegance and incredible figure. This is intuitive, right? Like, why as a shopper would I look at a picture of Dylan Mulvaney wearing a gorgeous gown, by the way, gorgeous gown. Like, there's nothing wrong with the gown, and be like, yeah, I can really see myself in that dress because the man is wearing it. It defies all reason. And I pity Versace. I pity Dylan Mulvaney.
I just love that Dylan Mulvaney probably thought he was getting some new fancy dress from this season. Literally, Donatella Versace, she sent you Melania's leftovers. She was like, you know what? Give little Dylan the leftover dress from the New Year's Eve with Melania Trump. But something you said also reminded me of years ago. Remember with the Victoria's Secret fashion show, they said these bodies are unobtainable. We can't have these super skinny women. We have to have body positivity. All of my friends, some of them, they're big, they're small, they're all different sizes. We all like to watch the Victoria's Secret fashion show because it was escapism. It was fantasy. Nobody thought I can actually look like that. You know what I'm saying? But they fired Ed Razek, they kicked him out, and now you have men taking spots from women. So the pendulum has swung so far. Now you don't even have women modeling on the runway. You have men in dresses. So it's really, really insane. Someone else we have to talk about, Michelle Obama, because she is praised as this fashion icon. She checks every single box for the left. Anna Wintour has put Michelle Obama on the cover of Vogue 3 times. Jill has been on the cover of Vogue 3 times as First Lady, and we have a picture of Michelle Obama in her fashion prowess. This is fashion icon Michelle Obama. So Melania, they don't like Melania, but Michelle, she's got these 3 huge spheres on her head. What do we make of Michelle Obama being a fashion icon and Melania Trump not being a fashion icon?
I mean, seriously, like when Democrats say jump, these fashion magazines are at the point where they're saying how high. Yes. She's wearing space buns. She looks like a lunatic. Like if someone wore this out in the street, I'd be like, stay away from this person, they're not well. Like this is a signal that like, do not interact with this person. What is this hairstyle? I'm sorry.
Right.
It's I think transparent to most Americans that Melania far supersedes Jill and Michelle in terms of style and grace and taste. This goes all the way to the interior design at the White House in the Rose Garden during the holidays. Instead of these gaudy modern abominations that are painful and sore to the eyes, we have this classic displays that celebrate Americana beauty and excellence. And they're not reinventing the wheel here. They're just going back to what honors our history and our heritage as a nation. And, I just think you can't teach that kind of aesthetic eye. Melania has it. And it's really a shame that Anna Wintour is supposed to be this powerhouse of fashion, like the icon, the kingmaker of fashion. I mean, there are all the fashion labels that you and I know of. They do take cues at a certain point with their runway collections and seasons. If you've watched any of the documentaries by Anna Wintour, they take their cues from her. And to think that she's condoning or celebrating as like fabulous what is truly ugly just shows that they don't really have credibility anymore.
Absolutely. I mean, when Melania Trump wears something, whether it's a menswear suit or something interesting or avant-garde, you and I see so many of our friends try to emulate that, right? They might do it on a budget. Of course, we're all on a budget. We can't afford Versace and Gucci and all these things. But there are conservative women out there who look at what Melania Trump is wearing and say, I'm going to try to emulate that. They look 100%. Up to her. I just think it's gross that Melania is so unfairly maligned by the media when she really is quite reserved and keeps to herself. And now she does her initiatives. She's not out there fame hungry and power hungry like Jill, like Michelle, who wanted to be out front in front of the cameras every single day. Now, the last person we have to discuss just for fun is Lauren Sanchez. And for the viewers at home, I'm going to be doing a full deep dive on Lauren Sanchez, her whole bachelorette party, her wedding. She might be signing a prenup. She might not. Look, if I were marrying Jeff Bezos, I would not be signing a prenup. Hello, I'm taking half of Amazon. But Lauren Sanchez, we have a picture of her also at the inauguration. Do you remember when Lauren Sanchez wore that white bra at the inauguration? What the hell was going on with that, Caroline? Why could she get away with wearing a white lacy bra on the front row of the inauguration?
I feel like when you reach a certain level of fame and fortune, you think you're invincible and that like rules don't apply to you. It drives me nuts. And I don't want to sound like a pearl clutcher, but like it lacks all decorum. Okay. I mean, read the room. You know that you're in a sacred institution and you're observing a very sacred process. Like you're a witness to something that has been in the Constitution, right, for a long time. And you wear a bustier like it's burlesque. This is not Moulin Rouge, ma'am. This is not. And yeah, I mean, listen, I just thought it was kind of sad. I wish someone had told her, this is when a mother figure like stops their daughter before they're about to leave the house and say, no. And she clearly did not have that kind of intervention. And it's very tragic. But look, I mean, decorum is a common theme, I think, and it's not that Lauren Sanchez is a, bona fide Democrat. I mean, Jeff Bezos, as far as we knew, was. So that's why it was so shocking to see him at the inauguration. But look, I think Fetterman has moderated a lot on Israel. And for that, I give him a lot of credit. Like he's now more of a common sense Democrat, right? But I'm never going to get over the sweatpants in the Senate. I'm never going to get over it. I can't do it. Like it flies in the face of flies in the face of decorum. So sorry.
Yeah. Well, no offense to John Fetterman, but it's sad that the only Democrat we sort of like and agree with is the one with brain damage. It's like he sought treatment for his mental health issues, and when they cured his mental health issues, he was actually a conservative. So it shows that maybe the left isn't so great. Maybe you guys have some issues and you all need to be checked up. But where the hell does Lauren Sanchez go in January of 2029 for that inauguration? Is it just like G-string, thong? What's going to happen? Where do we go from here? We're wearing bras and, like you said, bustiers. I'm gay. I don't know what the hell these things are. But where do we go from here with Lauren Sanchez? But where we go right now, Caroline, is we are done. I'm so grateful that you came on. You're going to be our new fashion correspondent. I couldn't be more excited for you and the Conservateur, everything you're doing with National Review. Anytime I see you on TV, killing it. And I'm excited for my audience to get more acquainted with you as well, because there are only there are only so many strong conservative voices out there in the mainstream media, and you are one of them. So I'm so grateful we had you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Link. You're a dear friend, and you are killing it. Rock star. I'm so proud of you as well.
Thank you so much. See you later. Bye. Well, my friends, we've reached the end of the show. This is what you can expect from Spot On with Link Lauren. At the top of the show, we spent 20 minutes going over Joe Biden's decline, the Hur audio, his cancer diagnosis, and then we ended the show looking at fashion, why young men are shifting to the right. I want to cover the topics you're interested in, so please write in on X, Instagram, YouTube, Apple, leave a review. Tell me what topics you want us to cover. I am so grateful for you. We will be back Wednesday with so much more. It seems like every 24 hours, there's another bombshell. But I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you on the next one. Bye.